As the sun set over the small town of Ravenswood, a sense of unease settled over its residents. It had been 3 days since little Timmy Jenkins had gone missing, and no one had heard a word from him. His parents were beside themselves with worry, and the police were working around the clock to find any trace of the missing boy. As the search party combed through the woods, they stumbled upon a strange and eerie place. It was an old, abandoned house that had been hidden deep in the forest. The house seemed to have a life of its own, looming over the search party with a malevolent presence. The house had a strange history. It was said that a mad scientist had once lived there, conducting twisted experiments on his victims. The locals believed that the house was cursed, and that anyone who entered would never come out again. Despite the warnings, the search party decided to investigate the house. They entered through a broken window and found themselves in a dimly lit hallway. The air was thick with the stench of rotten decay, and the walls seemed to be closing in on them. As they moved deeper into the house, they heard strange noises. Creaks and groans echoed through the hallways, and the search party couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They found a room that seemed to have been left untouched for decades. Dust covered everything, and cobwebs hung from the ceiling. Suddenly, they heard a faint noise coming from the corner of the room. It sounded like a child's laughter, but it was warped and twisted. The search party moved towards the sound, their hearts racing with fear. That's when they saw it. A small, childlike figure was huddled in the corner, laughing crazily. But something was off. The figure's eyes seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, and its skin was deathly pale. It was then that the search party realized that this was no ordinary child. The figure began to speak, its voice low and menacing. It introduced itself as Timmy Jenkins, but it was clear that this was not the Timmy that the town had been searching for. This Timmy was different, twisted, and evil. The search party was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. Timmy began to laugh again, its voice growing louder and more menacing. Suddenly, the lights went out, and the search party was plunged into darkness. When the lights came back on, the search party was gone. The house was empty, and the strange, childlike figure was nowhere to be found. The town of Ravenswood was in a state of panic. Where had the search party gone? And what had happened to Timmy Jenkins? As the days passed, more and more people disappeared. The town was gripped with fear, and no one knew what was happening. Some said they had seen Timmy Jenkins, the strange childlike figure, wandering the streets at night. Others claimed to have heard eerie laughter coming from the abandoned house in the woods. It was then that the town realized that Timmy was not just any ordinary child. It was something supernatural, creature from another realm. It had been awakened by the search party's intrusion into the abandoned house, and now it was taking revenge on the town. The people of Ravenswood banded together to try and stop Timmy. They searched the woods, the houses, and the streets, but they couldn't find any trace of the creature. A group of brave townsfolk decided to investigate the abandoned house again. They entered through a broken window, just like the search party had done before. But this time, they were better prepared. They had weapons, flashlights, and a plan. As they moved through the house, they heard the eerie laughter again. It was louder this time, and it seemed to be coming from the room at the end of the hall. They slowly approached the door, their hearts racing with fear. When they opened the door, they were met with a sight that made their blood run cold. Timmy was there, huddled in the corner, laughing manically. But this time, it was different. The creature's eyes were glowing bright red, and its skin was even paler than before. It was clear that Timmy had evolved, become more powerful. The townsfolk attacked Timmy with their weapons, but it was no use. The creature was too fast, too strong. It laughed and laughed, its voice growing louder and more menacing. The townsfolk were no match for Timmy, and one by one, they disappeared, never to be seen again. The town of Ravenswood was left in ruins. The once peaceful community was now a ghost town, haunted by the creature that had been awakened by the search party's intrusion. Timmy was still out there, roaming the streets, laughing maniacally. Years went by, and the legend of Timmy Jenkins spread throughout the country. People whispered about the cursed town of Ravenswood, where a creature had been awakened and had taken revenge on its people. But no one knew the truth. No one knew what had really happened in that abandoned house in the woods, and so, the story of Timmy Jenkins became a cautious tale, a reminder to never meddle with forces beyond our understanding. The town of Ravenswood was left to crumble, a reminder of the horrors that lay within its walls. And Timmy, the strange, childlike creature, remained a mystery, a monster that haunted the dreams of all who knew its name.